can you explain more about the Socratic approach? And I ask this because I'm a big advocate of direct instruction, and I believe that there's a blend here to make this work. And I'm not sure, are you familiar with Project Follow Through?
Sounds vaguely familiar, but remind me.
Well, so Project Follow Through was the largest research that was ever conducted in education. And what they want to do was, and I was a product of Head Start, they wanted to continue the gains from Head Start into K through 3 for students who were in poverty. And so they ended up testing like 9 different models of instruction. And there was one that just blew every other model out. Nothing was even close to it. Now, mind you, this is the largest research that's ever happened. And so they were superior learning in basic academic skills, in problem-solving skills, and even self-esteem, right? Really high scores and all this stuff. And so it's really just a fluency-based model. And, getting high direct instruction, like program instruction, where it's scripted for the teacher, which kind of goes against what I think the approach that you're using. But I think the way I see it is that if students do not have fluency in core skills like their math facts, if you don't have fluency in math facts, as you move on through life, there's going to be a big problem, because it's like shooting an arrow. If it's a little bit off at the beginning, it's further and further and further. You're never going to be able to, be involved in higher level math. And I think that's important for like critical thinking as well. And I think that in my approaches to training people, I train them at skill acquisition, right? So there's a lot of telling, but then I fade from telling to asking, right? Once they have a core component, core skill set, and they can make the decisions, now I shift the questioning so they can, think about and process and be better observers of the behavior, better observers of the impact of behavior on environment, vice versa. I'm thinking very behaviorally right now, but I think at that point I can release it to them to think more. And so when I think about Socratic questioning, which I know not a whole bunch about, this is where I think that it would take off. But I'm wondering if it's good for very young kids, or it's better as they get older and they have those core skill sets.
So that's a really great question. Lots packed in there. So let me kind of give you an overview. To kind of go to one interesting case study, many people do perceive the kind of open-ended Socratic dialogue that I do as almost the polar opposite of direct instruction. And I think actually one of the problems with a lot of public debates on pedagogy is we have these swings of the pendulum. We go from one extreme to the other and back and forth. But for instance, there's a chain of schools in North Carolina known as Thales Academy, which is hardcore, pure direct instruction in elementary school. In middle school, there's a bit of a transition with a little bit of Socratic, and then in high school, there's a significant amount of Socratic. And so there is a kind of age trajectory. And a lot of it is, in elementary school, nailing basic skills and knowledge is really important. And so that makes a lot of sense. I would also differentiate, as you did implicitly, different disciplines. So in math, fluency, repetition, practice. I'm pretty far in terms of open-ended, self-directed learning, but I always say math, you got to develop the habit of doing it every day. And I totally agree on the fluency sake. So I think math in particular is something that practice and discipline and repetition and fluency are essential. Going back finally to the other direction, I actually have a YouTube channel, Socratic Michael Strong, where right now I've been working with a girl where I began working with her when she was 4 years old. She is now 10. I began doing Socratic dialogue. So going back to your point, it is possible even with a 4-year-old. But now she's 10 and she is working through a college level Python course. And I'm working with her on how to use ChatGPT to help her learn college level Python more quickly on her own. So, I would say there are multiple strands. There is the gotta nail the math. There is the direct instruction, much more appropriate for younger children. And then there is in some respects, even a 4-year-old can begin to think on her own. And it's a matter of finding the right balance.